Hi everybody, welcome to Queer Games. Heck yeah for today. The best time of the week for me. Maybe. No, surely there are better times than just being here right now enjoying myself. Oh well. What a terrible intro. Look, they can't all be winners, okay? But speaking of winners, today's game. Breathe. A tiny mini meditation game. Uh, And considering, one of my firm beliefs is that queer games are ahead of the curve, and one of the reasons is because they actually care about the mental well-being of the people playing them. Um, you better believe we're playing this game as soon as I saw it. Because, I've kind of gone through the list, and there are a lot of like half-finished games or like little game jam games, which there was this jam called One Asset Only or something, one of each, and there's a lot of great games out of it. But also at the same time, um, I like a bit of variety, so I'm kind of like looking for the slightly different ones. I think. Um, Breathe. I know nothing about it other than this meditation game. It could be 30 seconds, it could be 30 hours. We're not doing 30 hours, we're only doing half an hour. It's part of the Queer Games bundle, which is in its final week. You've got like just a week left to get, to support artists around the world. I'm not saying that you must. I'm not saying that you're a terrible person if you don't do it. Uh, I'm not saying that you're, you know, part of the problem. But wouldn't you want to be part of the solution? Ugh, I'm really misfiring this morning. I can just tell that like sometimes the conversation flows quite freely. The conversation. It's just me talking to the microphone, to the camera. Sometimes I feel though that there's like a good kind of vibe or a good cadence, and I think I'm struggling a bit. I've just sat down, I've put the headphones on, I've pressed go. Maybe I'm not like quite, my head's not quite there yet. So let's see if this game can get us in there. All right. Heck it. Everything's gone wrong again. I messed everything up. I'm worthless. I'm a piece of heck. Cool art. I breathe, I hold my breath. Okay, well, I think, I always say on stream, bad decisions make good drama, so we're going to go with the non-breathe options, I suppose. The pressure builds. I can't believe I rang out like that. I just keep making everything worse when it was already bad. Why can't I just breathe or keep holding it in? Why can't I say how I feel in a normal way? Why does it always come out wrong? Why does it always make things worse? My head feels like it's growing larger in my skull. My vision starts to swim. Okay, I am actually going to have to take a breath. I was trying to, I like to kind of match what's happening on the screen with like what's happening in around me, just to kind of try and get in the game, but I can't hold my breath that long and talk. My head feels like it grows larger in my skull. So when I've had these moments, okay, I'm just going to go back a bit. I can't believe I ran out like that. Okay, and we're holding our breath in. My head feels like it grows larger in my skull. My vision starts. We'll say my head. I feel like I'm bursting, like a tomato that got watered too late in the season after a long drought, splitting at the seams. Okay, I like to, because I don't know much about these games, I don't know much about the developers. I always like to kind of like cobble together, like an amateur psychologist or an anthropologist, like their entire life story from the fictional game they've made. So, someone makes a game about like driving across Mexico with their dad, and I'm like, oh, completely autobiographical. Every word that happened in this game, they've had to sit through. In this one, so something I'm a bit hyper aware of is when someone talks like sort of like farming techniques. I love to assume that they're like a little country queer, who've like grown up in a small little rural community, and now they're making a game. So when I see a reference to quite a technical description of what can go wrong with growing a tomato, I'm like I'm already plotting a little life for this for the developer. I hope they don't mind. Don't worry. In my they're going to move to a city that's got a healthy queer population, and they're going to meet the person or the people or their dreams, or be happy being single, and just have a really happy, fulfilled life. And they're still good friends with their people back home, including their family. You know, um, that's a lot to read into that bit about watering your tomatoes too late. I keep feeling confined inside my. Sorry, okay. I'm fixating on tomatoes here because I actually really can't stand tomatoes. I think they're gross. Have you? How often do you eat tomatoes? Because they're just slimy, sort of acidic-y. They're just disgusting. Now I cook with them, and I'll put them in a sandwich on occasion. But just generally, when they're in a salad, it's like I kind of have to like mash them in with the feta and the rocket and the cucumber and the olive and just kind of like do just like add as much non-tomato stuff to the mouthful to get the tomato down. I don't even know what they're for. Are they even healthy for you? Like, I mean, no one ever goes around saying, "Oh, tomatoes, they're a good source of vitamin B." Oh, they're just gross. And when you do heat them up, like if you just say you put them in a toasty or something, or like a jaffle, they're super hot because of the high water content heats up and it's got nowhere to go, I suppose. So when you bite into a toasted cheese sandwich, the tomato almost inevitably just takes complete control by having a temperature about 100 degrees hotter than the rest of the toasty. That's right. It's taken me like 80 episodes to finally crack. I finally cracked it, and the topic is tomatoes. This game hasn't calmed me down at all. I keep feeling confined inside my life and wanting to do something different, to wreck everything just to feel something, to feel in control, to hold my breath till I pass out, just to know I'm in control, just to feel something. Yes. And of course, once I'm unconscious, my body takes over again. It gets my wishes and I breathe again. I mean, if you're doing this is serious. This is very serious behavior, I think. I breathe. It doesn't feel like it's helping, but I guess I've got to do it to stay alive. Either inhale or I hold my breath. Oh, well, we're still holding our breath. The pressure builds. I can't believe. Oh, okay. Keep holding it in. Okay, my vision starts to swim. The grass of the field flutters in the breeze, rhythmic back and forth. In spite of myself, I breathe in its pattern. I breathe. It doesn't feel like it's helping, but I guess okay. Either I inhale or I hold my breath. Inhale. I feel my chest fill up like a balloon. I feel a little taller. I'd have to be twice as tall at least to feel better than I do. People keep saying I look taller, but it doesn't make sense to me. I keep feeling smaller and smaller. I keep feeling like there's less of me every time I look, like I'm being replaced with something else, like I'm becoming full of something other than me. Oh, that's right, it's air. I guess I should exhale. My eyes are closed. I don't remember closing them. My body deflates. I'm gonna have to look. All the fear and anger go out with my breath. I feel a little hollow, a little sad, a little calmer. Yes, letting my hatred of tomatoes go. The field is beautiful. When I really look, there's more than just grass. There are all kind of plants. I feel the urge to sit down. Well, I'm going to really look. The field is full of wild plants, way more than just grasses. There are milkweeds and butterflies pausing to sip at their blossoms. Bees whir between goldenrods and asters, a symphony of leaves rustling in the afternoon sun. Ah, delicious. I'm going to decide to take a seat. Even though it's late in the morning, the plants underneath me feel a little wet. Dew sticks to my thighs, dampens the edge of my shorts. It's uncomfortable, but only a little. Somehow, this discomfort grounds me. Hmm. I think when you commit to sitting down in a field or like a park, um, you've already committed to like a wet balm and ants and you know being a little too cold if you're in the shade or a little too warm if you're in the sun. I keep entering into the cycle where I feel disempowered because I can't control my life, and then because I feel disempowered, I disconnect from what's going on. Yep, yep, I know that feeling. And then once I'm disconnected, I don't see what's going on around me. I float. I float somewhere above and behind my own right shoulder, watching my life like it's a video game. And because I'm not the character, but the person behind the controller, I feel out of sync. I mean, this is very interesting that they're comparing. This is a computer game, and they're comparing their uh, like like personal world, like their feelings. They're comparing it to being in a computer game. Um, I just find that really interesting. How like I sometimes think civilization creates the the words and the thought, the words and the way we see the world. You know, like we can only express our feelings through the tools we've been given. I guess it's like a very 1984 um, newspeak kind of vibe. You know, if we remove the words rebellion, then people can't even conceptualize rebellion, right? Or like up until like the 19, not like up until the invention of flight, people would often swear they saw Jesus or something. But then after we invented flight, people started to say they saw UFOs, but there were kind of like no UFO reportings before flight. And so it's kind of like, you know, you know what I mean. But it is interesting that we're in a computer game. Wait, where am I going with this thought? I think this is actually really an interesting moment in this game for me because I think computer games are a very new medium, and when you have a new medium, the first generation, I think a lot of the time are about transferring other techniques into that medium. So if you look at like early film, um, it's really just stage play. That you know, it's all staging. In fact, it's filmed on a stage, even with the curtains and everything. And it's only as film matures as a medium that you start to get techniques and language that's actually like native to film. And the same with television, you know, literally the first TV shows are just kind of like they're pointing it at the radio announcer behind the microphone. And the first radio broadcasts are just them filming, you know, like an orchestra, like recording an orchestra, you know, and then eventually we get like music production that's like devoted to the sound in your headphones kind of thing. And here I'm seeing a moment computer games, where a computer game is referencing itself in a way. Maybe not the game itself, but just the whole idea that you know, I don't know. There's an idea in there. I haven't fully resolved it, but this is why I like quick games. I like to talk it out, even though I don't quite always get there. All right, and because I'm not the character, but the person behind the control, I feel out of sync. Out of sync. It's like when people, although I do have a pet peeve, not just the tomato thing, when people say, oh, the brain is like a computer, I always disagree because brains were around first. So if brains are like anything, they're like brains, and computers like brains, but computers aren't really like brains. But yeah, so never say to me, oh, a brain is like a computer. I'll be very underwhelmed. The world is alien to me. Mundane occurrences take me by surprise. I feel even less in control. I try to regain I try to regain focus on my breath, on the dampness of the soil. Bees and flies and yellow jackets buzz around me. What is a yellow jacket? Is it like a wasp or something? We'll duck duck go it after this, if I remember. I keep my focus. I breathe through my nose. I'm sorry if I'm not doing the meditative thing. I think the first step, I do a bit of yoga, and I do think like there's like transition states. So first of all, you've got to be put yourself there. Like sit down or get ready to do it. And we've done that here. We've sat down, we've picked the game, the meditation game. Then you have to start to clear your mind and like just focus on the now. And I think there's a transition stage for me when you have to let your mind wander a lot and you have to let it race a bit because it's sort of like de-anchoring it. And it just flies off by itself for a while, and then but once it gets through it's like excite all the randomness, that's when you start to maybe get a bit of like get in the present a bit. So yeah, I am talking through it a bit, but I think that's because I'm trying to get a bit more like freewheeling association with it and kind of get into it a bit more. Because the developers put in the effort, and I want to also, you know, meet them halfway, kind of thing. Bees and flies and yellow jackets buzz around me. I keep my focus. I breathe through my nose. One of the yellow jackets is close to my face. Its buzzing fills me with anger, with fear. I fight down panic. What would I do? Depends if it's a wasp or not. Okay, we're going to leave it be. I can almost feel the pollen filling my nostrils. It tickles. I'm full of sweet, astringent air, scented by the goldenrod surrounding me. The yellow flower fronds wave in the breeze. Okay, it tickles. I sneeze in spite of myself. I giggle. I realize that no one can hear me, and for once I don't feel self-conscious about how my voice sounds. I am very self-conscious about how my voice sounds. I laugh more for the joy of it. Well, I've never done that. Okay. It almost feels like the flowers are echoing my rhythm, the percussion of the laughter booming out of my chest. Laughing is a way to feel your lungs, to enter your body, just like breathing. I almost forgot. I almost forgot what it felt like to really laugh. When the laughing fit passes me over, I feel my eyes wet, but not from sadness. My chest aches, but I am joyful. I take deep, long, clean breaths. For once in a long time, I am almost peaceful. Yes. This reminds me of a time I was on a trip by myself, and I think, well, I was like a couple of weeks into it, but I was on a kind of, I was out in the bush, and it had been a few days, and I was just thinking about like my childhood, I guess, a bit, and I don't know. I just had a bit of an epiphany. I had an epiphany about my old man, my dad, um, where he was very hard on us as kids, and and I think in retaliation we were very hard on him as adults. Not in retaliation or just like just that's the way. I mean, that's what life is, I suppose. You know. Yeah, and I just had this moment, like just days and days into this trip, and I think I hadn't spoken to anyone for like 24 hours or even like 48 hours. Um, and I just had this real moment where I was like, oh, I've been really hard on my old man, you know, and for various reasons, like just life is life, right? Yeah. So I just had this realization I've been hard on him, but then also kind of by extension, I'd been hard on myself, and it was just this, and I really felt this just massive weight just literally just evaporate off my shoulders. Like it was just such a crystal clear moment of clarity, and I was crying, but I was so happy in that moment. It really was quite. Um, I'll take that to my grave. I reckon that moment. It was very. It was just a real moment, and all I had to do was like go traveling for a month and go out into the bush and not talk to anybody. Maybe it was starvation. Maybe it was maybe I had accidentally brushed up against some sort of hallucinogenic, weird northern hemisphere plant. But no, I'm pretty sure it all came from within here. My chest aches, but I'm joyful. I take deep, smooth, clean breaths. For once in a long time, I almost feel peaceful. In nature, in a field like this, everything just is. Ah, what a great phrase. In nature, everything just is. You know, I heard somewhere an idea, and it really stuck with me, that humans are the only animals on the planet that don't have a natural habitat. Like, there's nowhere on the planet where we can just put a human down and go, oh, this is where they belong. This is their home. We really left that Garden of Eden. Like, I'm not particularly religious, but I think the Christians really nailed that concept. That kind of the curse of humans is that we've left nature, and there's no going back. And I think maybe we lost something. Like we gained immeasurably more. We like, um, I wouldn't want it any other way in a way. But at the same time, we have lost something. Super interesting. The asters grow and bloom when their time comes, and then they die in the same manner. The goldenrods grow up from the same rootstock each year without resenting the effort it took to build their stems, which they discard every winter. They don't ask permission to take their places. They don't have to be given it. Every being, every body in the pasture just lives, without justification or explanation. Ah, it's so true. I do think it is part of the modern curse that we all feel a bit like unwelcome on our own planet. But we've all got just as much right to be here as anybody else, rich or poor. Maybe they're not all native species. Maybe some scientists would say that dandelions and mugworts and the plantains aren't supposed to be here, that they're invasive, but the plants don't care. Ah, now this is okay. This game is really. I started off this stream not really feeling it, but I feel like super engaged a bit. I feel like this paragraph could almost be like about the dilemmas of being queer a bit, because it's kind of like, oh, there's certain things you're supposed to do, there's certain ways you're supposed to live, all this sort of stuff. But then also at the same time, if you're not that, like, you can't spend your life apologizing, can you? Like, you can't fit a square peg in a round hole. I wish my body, brown, trans, an immigrant, an illegal immigrant, mentally ill in all its forms, uh, were able to exist without question, or at least I wish that I were able to ignore those questions, and I was blessed with the inability to understand them like the plants had, that I didn't worry so much about my place in the world. Yes, okay, well, there's a lot just unloaded down there. My little story about them growing up in like a rural region and moving to a big city, because of the tomato thing, I might have to rework it. Hmm. Um, yes, I sometimes wonder if this pressure we're feeling today to find your place in the world is that always been there? Like if we went back 5,000 years to like ancient Egypt or something, is like every person just sort of walking around going, what, where are my roots going? Anyway, I wish I didn't have to justify myself everywhere I go, whether it's being in this country or just going to the bathroom. A bit of I want to say cross sectionality here, intersectionality, whatever it is. All right, being in the country. I assume we're talking about New Zealand. I wish I didn't have to justify myself everywhere I go. Oh yes, I'm always an outsider, visibly not supposed to be here. But then where do I go? I feel restless, my legs twitch. One of my feet has fallen asleep. I'm not panicking anymore, but a new type of anxiety has begun to well up within me. Something deeper, less easy to pacify. I have to get up. I stand. Pins and needles prickle through my left foot. I shake it out. I realize I'm standing near a railroad track that cuts through the park. Oh, railroad? The tracks are overgrown. Some of the ties scarcely visible beneath the plants. Small bushes even rise up between the tracks in some places. It must have been years since a train came through here. Well, you'd be surprised, I reckon. In fact, in one direction, the tracks only go a few meters before they are buried with soil, becoming a green path. In the other direction, the tracks lead towards a tree-lined area. A green path. A mown path winds through the rough pasture land. The ground is soggy, steam rises visibly in places where the soft mud peeks through the vegetation. Every once in a while my feet squelch, sucked down into an extra mucky spot. I pull them out and keep trudging. Even though I've mostly sat around so far today, my body feels tired. I'm always like this these days, sluggish, like I'm dragging around an unwieldy sack of meat. Ah, true, very true. It takes so much energy to do simple things. The sun glares in my eyes. I hear my breath loud in my eyes. Okay, okay, sun in the eyes, breath loud in the ears. What am I feeling at this moment with squelching? I'm going to go with the sun. I squint into the brightness of the sun. It bores into my head. I feel the dull ache start between my eyebrows. Or maybe I will it into being. My mouth feels dry. When did I start hating sunshine, hating being outside? I've always loved spending time in nature, actually interacting with other creatures, with other creatures that are different than humans, or maybe I never have. Oh, there's a lot of options here. For a meditation game, it's a lot of work. Maybe I will it into being. My mouth feels dry. Maybe I've never liked. I have a love-hate relationship with nature, so I'm going to say maybe I never have. Maybe the me that likes to go outside is just a fantasy, the version of me I constructed that can feel joy because the me that I actually am can't. The me that can enjoy things, the me that can feel pleasure. Sometimes afraid of my power, the things I can make happen in my own reality. Maybe the headaches that I experience are just a manifestation of my emotions. I feel like heck and I manifest it into real pain. I wonder how much I can make real with my own mind. And I wonder how much of my experience is conjured by imagination. Maybe I just need to drink more water. Okay, well, I think this is very heavy, heavy options that I think it's hinting at stuff that I can't quite resolve. Like, are they talking self-harm? I'm not sure. Like how much, so they're talking about their pain and can I make it real with my own mind? We've had a few games in this run of Queer Games Heck Yeah, where there's been two where two of the characters have had scars, but it's been in the past, so they're like, I guess the scars of scars. No, what are scars of cutting? That's it. And I'm getting a slight little vibe of that, which is an interesting topic. You don't see many games engaging with it, I think. As long as it's done sensitively, I think it's really interesting. But also, even if it's not done sensitively, I'm like, if people want to talk about that stuff, go for it, I kind of say, especially in art. Like, better to take your pain and create something out of it, like a game, I think, than to let your pain just kind of control you a bit. I wonder how much I can. Okay, I wonder how much of my experience is conjured by my own imagination, or maybe just. I mean, I feel like the cop out answer is drink more water, and I do want to engage. All right, we've spoken about it. Let's see where they go with it. If I can imagine pain in my head, dryness into my mouth, what else can I imagine? How much of me is a product of my own fantasies, my likes, my dislikes, my desires? My fantasies, my identity? Maybe I imagined myself into being trans. Well, we can't not click on that. That's super interesting. No, I didn't. I am who I am. That's the thing about doubt. It can make you question your time. It can make you question for a time, but when you look, the things you know about yourself are always there beneath the surface. Boom. That is gold. Yes. I mean, that's being true to yourself, isn't it? beneath the surface. Who I am hides darkly in the ground like a tuber in the winter. See, there's another farming reference. I know it's there. I can feel its outline if I furrow around in the dirt. I don't want to disturb it, but when I come close, I can feel it. The qualities radiating off it. I am trans, I am real, I am queer, I am whole. I take some deep breaths. In and out. Without even noticing, my breath synchronizes with my steps. Or maybe it's my steps to my breath. Either way, here I am, walking and breathing. As I enter into the rhythm of my motions, I notice the other rhythms around me. Larks chirping in the trees, quails rummaging in the under... This is like some sort of magical fantasy land with like flowers and quails, larks. Quails rummaging around in the underbrush with their soft yips and peeps. As my breath pulls me into my body and my feet push me onwards across the land, I find myself actually interacting with other creatures around me. Oh, love those moments. I see a small rabbit ahead of me. As I approach, they hop forward a few meters, always staying the same distance ahead of me, neither fleeing nor allowing me to approach. I read somewhere that how far an animal stays away from you shows how domesticated they are, how unafraid of humans. I'm struggling to read some of this, I think. Just the cadence is doesn't match my cadence. When I catch sight of a buck in the woods, they always keep far away, their horns barely visible like branches among the distant trees. The rabbit watches me openly from the path. I meet the rabbit's gaze. Yeah, I've had moments like that. Like I mentioned in one of my other casts, I went on a bike ride across part of America, and I was on an old rail trail, and I mean it was spectacular. I was riding along with a crowd of butterflies for a while. I had little blue jays, I believe they're called, little bluebirds, just flying along beside me for a while. I had a deer jump out in front of me. It was startled. I was startled. We sort of looked at each other for a while and it ran off. Also in Australia, you can have those moments. I did a really great bike ride from along the coast here, and you just have like hawks just sort of circling above you, just checking you out, and you're checking them out. Hawks or eagles, I can't tell. If you don't get out into, if you don't get outside enough, I really recommend getting a bicycle. I mean, it depends where you live. Like if you live in a place that's really humid or really hilly, biking's not much fun. But if you live in a place that's pretty flat and maybe dry-ish, there's nothing better than a bike. I meet the rabbit's gaze. The rabbit is perfectly still aside from the twitching nose. They watch me watching them. I step towards them. And they hop a little ways down the path. I repeat my action, taking a few steps towards them. I follow them for a short time until I come to a willow tree near the edge of a path. The rabbit waits for me further down the path, but the tree beckons me towards it in its own silent way. Well, we're in the present, so we're going towards the tree. It's a grand weeping willow which has managed to avoid the park landscaper's chainsaw. Its drooping branches almost reach the ground, creating a curtained green room. Ah, yes. I mean they're really phasing out willow trees here in Australia, because they're a bit invasive, I suppose. But yeah, I completely remember as a kid those sort of tree rooms they would make. How awesome were those? Very magical places. I stand within the willow's swaying walls. I find my breathing matching up to the breeze, even though I had barely noticed before. I inhale. On the in-breath, the wind blows the willow leaves over to their silvery side. I exhale. On the out-breath, the leaves go dark green again. They flicker back and forth from green to grey. I do the same for a few minutes before I step out from underneath the willow's canopy for some fresh air. I feel tired, but part of me wants to keep going further down the path. The rabbit seems to be waiting for me on the trail, like they're trying to take me somewhere. This is a trap. We've all seen or read Alice in Wonderland. We know the shenanigans that are about to unfurl. I follow them because I feel like I have no other choice. Was that a little meta humor? Like the writer was like, I can't think of a second option here, so I'm just going to give them the one option, and that one option is I don't think I have a choice. I follow them down the gravel trail until it becomes boggy, until it turns to mud. The rabbit hopping a few paces ahead of me. The trail descends. The path gives way to a boardwalk. Many planks are rotted out, a few broken, showing glimpses of the slick mud beneath. The rabbit scuttles through a hole in the hedge to the right and disappears. I can hear a road through that way. The hole looks large enough for me to crouch through. The boardwalk curves away to left, and the path back to the willow tree stretches behind me. Oh, we're committed to the rabbit thing. The brambly head scratches me as I squeeze through. I find myself on the sidewalk of a small road. Across the street are a few houses. The road I'm on intersects with a busy road. I can still go back to where I come from. I can stay and soothe myself in nature a little longer. Well, I would feel like I've had my moment uh, in nature, and I would keep going. I look over towards the cars rushing by, burning dinosaurs to fuel their lives, to keep themselves moving and never stop. I take a breath. I feel better, more grounded, less in my head and more in my body. I think I'm ready to go. Never stop, never feel, never breathe, never think about whether what they're doing is right or necessary. I mean, it's a tough one. Like, everyone's just trying to live, I think. I take a breath and still myself. I'm grateful to have a chance to take this break, even though I'm still afraid, confused, scared, anxious. What, what beautiful little production value that was. I feel better, more grounded. I think I'm ready to go. Thank you for breathing with me. I hope this has made you feel calmer. If you want, you can go back to the start, but I think you're ready to face whatever you needed to take a break from now. Kiss, hug, Aaron. Steadier, less anxious, more grounded. Well, that was Breathe, a mini meditation game that was surprisingly long, surprisingly in depth. We did digress a little bit, but in a good way. Any game that gets you thinking, I think, is a good game. And the game reminded me of good times in my own life, and I really value that. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, because I actually enjoyed that a heck of a lot, as we say here at Quick Games. Heck yeah. Um, I'll leave that with you. Go continue your breathing exercises. Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe, and that you want to, when you breathe in, expand, and then hold it. No, wait, I'm not getting into all that. Okay. Have a good day.